wives, or do they just want free maids and sex on demand?
Damn. Both.
What? Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah.
I think most men, because the standard's so low, it's so easy to get free wives that you never have to marry, sex workers that you never have to cuff up, and workers in the house like maids and chefs, and they'll do it for free. I'm telling you, a woman will allow a man to waste their time. They will stay with that man for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years as a girlfriend. Why? And the only reason why he does it is because you let him. Most men want maids and sex workers that they never have to commit to because it's easy.
That's
and
real.
a lot of men that don't want evolution want easy. And that's okay. I love that for them. They need to be with the girls they need to be with.
Right.
And then there are other men that are marriage minded that want a partner.
Only pursuing you for sex, his emotions are not involved. And because his emotions are not involved, it's easier for him to just look for the next woman to conquer. Look for the next, the next challenge that he wants to overcome. He can be led by his lust. And I always say it is easier to chase lust than it is to chase love. Okay? Because again, when you're in lust, rejection doesn't hit the same. When you're in lust, you understand, or you start to begin to understand that for some guys, it's a numbers game. If they just hit on enough women, they're gonna get they're gonna get someone at some point. Some men have not developed that perception, but it does exist out there. So regardless, this is what fuels this man to be willing to approach you, even though he's not the right man for you or doesn't have serious intentions with you.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. Listen, we're going to be having one of our wonderful conversations on a Wednesday night. I won't be doing it alone, of course. I'll be joined by my fabulous host, which I'm going to bring up in a second or two. But today we're talking about whether men in 2025, all they are is shallow and just wanting sex. Is that true? Because I've been hearing that a lot out there, that the men only want women for one thing and one thing only. These men aren't serious. These men don't want to commit to nobody. And I thought we'll have a conversation about it. Like, is that the case? Like, are we finding out that people only want the opposite sex for sex? I think the man them are a serious bunch out here. You know what I mean? Like, of course, that's not going to be everybody, but I believe that the majority of men are serious and wanting relationships. But of course, there is always two sides to a story, they say. But I'm not doing this conversation alone. I'm joined by my wonderful, amazing guest. You know who she is. Wonderful, eloquent, wise individual who gonna give us some extracurricular takes, what I'm saying to you. Jake's not dark arts, just a different point of view, just to keep us in a nice space of dialogue as well. So if you're also interested in this conversation, by all means, if you can come up a little bit later on when we open up the floor for different points of view. But I'm going to be joined by my fabulous co-host, another round, Jay. What are you telling me, babe?
What's up, everybody? How you doing, Coach? How's it going today? Can you hear me all okay?
Oh, I can hear you good. I can hear you clearly. You know what I mean? You're clear as day. Man, this is such an interesting topic. I think. I think in 2025, relationships always are tasks that's been very difficult, very hard, and the dating scene seems to be one of, of how do we say, chaos as well. But this topic's come up. Men in 2025, they're not serious. They don't want relationships. They only want sex. I think it's such a interesting term to use. I want to know your thoughts. You heard the video by Sarah and also by Stefan Speaks as well, and they spoke about why these men only want that. Before I get to the why, do you agree with the statement? Is it that men are just in 2025 shallow and only want sex from women? Is that
In 2025 or in life general? Because this is something that I've been hearing all my life, that men only want sex.
all your life? Damn.
All my life. You know what I'm saying? From men. From men, like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it could have been a scare tactic, just be on the lookout tactic for some of these dudes. But the key word for me, how I like to find some words up in that, is like men. when we do transition, or when we transition into adulthood, maturity should start to establish itself. In most, it may. I like how I say that. In most, it may. Not all, but some hit emotional maturity a lot earlier, so they may result in I want it. Yes, trust, I want it. I'm always want it, but I would want it from a selected person. Some men are just natural conquerors. They are on a conquest, and that's what they want. That's all it is, and stuff like that. And I think those, because they're on the hunt so much, a lot of ladies run into those men. We run into the same man, oddly enough. That's why we all know that man is doing what he's doing. But that's because he is literally always on the hunt. But a man that is like just wanting an actual woman for more than just that, he's on a hunt, but it's different. It's not the same. It's intentional. He has purpose, he has goals, he has reasons as to why he is pursuing you. And it's not just the sex. The sex is the bonus for him, especially if it's good. So, a good man, I was having this debate last night, but a good man, not a nice man, will be intentional about his hunt.
So you said obviously that you've always heard this term. Maybe if for any man watching, this might be really good to hear as well. And I think obviously, I think that'll be interesting to hear. So you said obviously from young, you've always heard them say that men only want sex. How did you quantify that statement? How did you process that statement from young then, if that's what you heard?
Well, it was brought to me in a manner like from various sources of family members or whatever, stuff like that. So it's like I'm learning from their experiences, so to speak. But I think one of the ways that stuck with me the most was when I was basically taught a man does things for, and the reason, what I'm saying, he's doing these things and with reason that he wants something in return. Generally, the something is sex or whatnot. So it was like, you will always hear that, like, he don't really want nothing but it. So he's doing a whole bunch of things to get it or whatnot. So a lot of times, or you hear that statement, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? And like I say, it could have been a scare tactic for me to just like keep cool and not be out here with these men wilding out and doing all these things like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it was a way for, I guess, a parental figure to tell you, like, don't be out here promiscuous or whatever. But when you hear that, it just does seem, and you see men's reaction, it does seem like that sometimes. When it's just like, okay, I hit it, now I moved on. It's like, well, damn, that's all you was here for or whatnot. Or he's steady approaching you, you're doing all these things to get you. But as soon as you turn him down and say, nah, I'm good on it, he got an attitude, he calling you all kind of out the name, he doing all this type of stuff or whatever and stuff like that. So when their actions is kind of showing up the same thing I've been told, it does make sense. Like, oh, yeah, that's all y'all want. And it's not until you actually approach a man with intentions for you that you realize, oh, like there are men out here with substance and looking for something of substance in return.
What's interesting. So for you then, in that space, how early did you get, without obviously exposing yourself, but how early did you come to that revelation yourself through an experience that seemed to be a confirmational truth of what they said? You know what I mean? Because there is obviously some truth to that, right? So how early did it for you before it was like, all right, what they said is actually true. These men only want one thing. You know what I mean?
Surprisingly enough, it wasn't that early because I had like intentional boyfriends when I started. That was a kind of a good thing at that time or whatnot. But I think was I in early high school, late junior high? like our junior highs is like we get the middle grades or whatever, so it's like it's not one school that keeps going through. But I'm trying to recall. I want to say I deal with this one person in high school, but it was just like, yeah, what's happening? Like, because I've been used to people like actually like doing things to make me their girl or whatever and stuff like that. And it's like, now I see you just doing things till you hit. So then you're on your way when you can't. And because you're like, you'll go through the whole crew if you can. But yeah, somewhere probably between junior high, high school.
Mm. So with that, I know I'm sorry, I'm in question mode because now I'm intrigued to see. My brain is tinkering because again, it's good to get a woman's perspective on this particular topic, right? So
Mhm.
obviously, you had intentional boyfriends. So how did that measure up to the truths that had been told that men only want sex? Then how did that? How did you?
Well, my thing too is like we're young, so it's like I don't have you're being intentional, but I don't have no intentions on you actually being my person. So for me, it wasn't like nothing. And then it was like some of them we weren't even doing anything yet or whatever. So that was never really on my brain. But it's like my very first crush, love, whatever, and stuff like that. He was so off and on. And it wasn't like I don't think it was intentional to just like appear like that's all he wanted. It was just like our relationship was just so off and on. It just seems like when you look back on it, sometimes it was just based on that, and it's not necessary that it was, but I can't recall any real conversations that we had. We had conversations, but it was just like nothing stuck with me from that. But I can remember things of relationships past that it wasn't, they were actually digging into knowing who I am, knowing who my family is, parents, all that stuff like that. As long as we together, I can't really, he came to my parents' house before, but I can't really recall him actually like hanging out with them, sitting down, chilling, like, but on another note, there was this one guy, I remember him, I was in high school because I went to senior year with this one. He, on the other hand, that's I think when I really, really paid attention to it too, because I would literally have to do things like he would be like, let's go to the movies or whatever and stuff, because he would do anything so he can get me alone. So I would literally lie. God forgive me, but it's for my safety. I would literally lie and be like, you can't take me to the movies unless my little sister go. And he would literally do it, but he would try to drop her off just so he could still be with me. I would not. So that's when I realized like it was just like a goal, a motive behind it, especially being that he was an older guy too. Like I'm a senior in high school, so he's basically a paramedic. So that's to let you know his age is like above mine at this time. So it's like, grown sir, what are you doing? Grown sir, please go away from me. I am a kid. Like oh and that, but yeah, that's when I really realized that, some men is just out here for play. It's nothing serious about it because yeah, he had no true intentions because when he realized it was just like not gonna go down the way it wanted, it was just like, all right, well, I'm done. I'm good on you. And then moved on. So I was just like, all right. Then I ended back with that ex with I was telling y'all about because we was off and on anyway.
No, I mean it's intriguing because I guess obviously I never had obviously that talk about obviously men only want women for sex. You know what I mean? Like, and again that's because maybe the household I came from, right? And of course I'm a woman, so yeah. So and obviously I was a virgin up until 18, well 17, 18. You know what I mean? So I mean, it still sounds very young now, but at the time it didn't feel young because, of course, everyone was doing way earlier than I was. It felt like, right? But I had the luxury of being deflowered in a relationship. You know what I mean? So it was a
Mhm.
different. My introduction to sex wasn't necessarily a very just sleep with anybody and da 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 da. Maybe because I couldn't get no girls at the time. Let's be honest. But some of us had a late glow up, you know what I mean? But so then obviously then you get a girlfriend and then you end up in that space. But yeah, no, I definitely felt like that introduction was a very wholesome one. And shout out to that particular lady as well, because she, we took our time with everything as well. It wasn't rushed. You know what I mean? I know that she wasn't a virgin, and I was. So that was an interesting dynamic, because of course then she was like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna, like, I don't want to drag you away from your faith and everything like that. I mean, I gave up Jesus so quick. Boy, I gave him quicker than the Jews did. I'll tell you that now. I gave him up. I gave him up. Shoot.
Not for 13 pieces of silver.
I gave his ass up. I said, Lord, we didn't even have that kind of relationship, really, Lord. So I'm gonna leave you where you are. Okay, all right. The thing is calling. But again, I joke to say that in the sense of like my introduction to it was really more about connection, and it was all about really spending time with that person. I genuinely liked that person. That person was my person. Do you know what I mean? In regards to that. So obviously when I was growing up, I did hear some of the boys and see some of the boys do a lot of things that were wild. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it just never clicked with me that that's what I should be doing personally. You know what I mean? And listen, I think it helps to be ugly a little bit. I can't lie to you. It helps to be ugly and unseen, because you avoid a lot of the things because you ain't got a choice. So you can't engage in some of those stuff, right? So by the time I'm engaging in any kind of sexual stuff, it's by 17, 18. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know what coming was at 17. Like, that's how pure my mind was at that point. Do you know what I mean? So my understanding of things very different, So when they say men only want sex, I could conceive it at a time, maybe, or but it wasn't necessarily something I'm associating. So when you get older, then I can understand that there are a lot of people who are moving in that space that just don't really want the person. They just want your body. You know what I mean? So I guess obviously another question for you in that space then, because obviously this being shallow and stuff, how did it? This is an interesting question actually. How did it make you feel when you sensed a man just wanting you for your body and for sex? How did that honestly? I don't know why you're smiling like that. I don't know why you're laughing like that. Bring us into the world of the ladies.
So there's the interesting part. I'm an enigma, so like that's a tricky question because it just kind of depends on the day that you catch me. It depends on the day that you catch me and I catch you. Like, if that's all you came for, but you did, it's see. I'm gonna have to explain this like this. I have a way about me. Like, if you honest with me, you might find out we might be on the same thing. But when it's the game on approach, so you're gonna do all these things and expectations of this happening. Well, player, do all of these things. Because guess what? I'm the coach, the referee, the owner. These lights will be shut off in this gym if I want them to. So if you want to play these games instead of being honest, we could have just gotten to the straight to the point, but you didn't want to do that. You want to play these games, so we about to play. Do all you got to do for me. Go ahead, please. Please, by all means, I have peeped your game. If this is all you want from me and you think this is all I have to offer, you're shortchanging yourself. The ball is in my court, and let's see what happens, player. Good luck to you. That's how it makes me feel. Like that. Like my dark art's gonna come out.
It's interesting, actually. I said obviously that my first introduction to S3X was obviously from my first government, which it was. But also, I do remember probably maybe 2 years before that, or a year before that, I should even say. Not even younger than that. My first, I think when you're probably in your early teens, 11, 12, right? You are chasing girls at school, whatever. And, I've always said this. Some of our behaviors at that age were sexual assault. I'm sorry. No, like we can't even. You know what I mean? Like if kids were doing what we were doing at that age, that was sexual assault. We'd be going to prison. You know what I mean? A lot of us would have been going to prison because people were doing touching up when they weren't allowed to be touching. Just to be honest. But
No comment.
no comment indeed. But obviously, I think by the time we got to like 15, 16, I remember I moved schools and everything. And a lot of some of the interactions with some of the girls I was having was really just, it was honestly just about sex. And I remember actually I had this is funny because I actually remember I had a girlfriend before I had a girlfriend. So when I was saying that, we had somebody I was getting to know and was seeing. And I remember she was built. Whoa, maybe. But I remember that in our interaction, I remember we used to walk home. And I remember I was trying to get in. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? Like at least get something. I ain't trying to have sex, but at least let me just get something. I was a young man, right? My thought process isn't that I like you. My thought process is I'm horny and you are an object of desire. Like I see you and you are attractive, but am I actually attracted to you as a person? And I'm deep in it. And I know at the time I was not, right? But girl was built. So that's all I was thinking, right? And I remember one time we got to, I think I walked to her home and then she was just telling me, she's like, you don't actually like me, do you? You don't actually like me. And I had to pause for a second. I was like, it's not that I don't like it. I don't even, I'm new to this arena. I don't even know if I like me at this point. Do you know what I'm saying to you? I have feelings and it's urges and they're moving me, right? So, but when I really deeped it, she was right. If I really, really deep it, she was right. Like that was not someone who internally I liked them. I didn't hate her, but internally I didn't like them as a person enough to be attracted to that person. It was that I was attracted to the outside and I was horny as a young individual. So it's like, there's a confusion and straight away. So going back to that title of men are shallow almost in some sense. Yes, some of us from a young age are looking at the wrong things. We are moving in the wrong space. And this can carry on when you don't grow and learn and evolve. But yeah, at that age, I do remember that before I had my actual girlfriend, I actually really liked. This was some of the behaviors that I was, I remember some of the girls were doing feed ups.
Yeah. So, and when you sent me the topic, that's the first thing I thought is like, it depends on what we're talking about with ages and stuff. Because at different ages, yes, that is going to be the thing. So if we're talking in 2025 as a whole, how many we have to categorize all these people into different age groups or whatever and stuff like that. So certain age groups, that's what they're going to be on. Their hormones is kicked in. They don't know what's happening. They just want because they see it, Then we get to a different age group bracket or whatever and stuff that they're a little bit, their mind is developing and they're changing over to where it's like, I want something stability. I don't want to just be out here in the street doing this all my life or whatever. I want a partnership. I want that, this grown man, and some men just never grow out of that phase, or they're late bloomers to that phase. Because you do get some older men, that's all they seek, but they were late bloomers a lot of times to being out in the streets. They might have had a girlfriend or two early in life, but now this is the first time they just get to really run free and they have people at them. So it just kind of like depends on where you catch people. So it's like, I hate to just group us all in 2025. This is all we think about, but that's why I said, is this just now this year, or this is something that's always been? Because as long as we have all these different ages in the world together, it's going to appear that way. And when you run into people that are younger than you, because you appear younger, you get different energies. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot of different things and stuff like that. And I've seen more maturity sometimes in younger men than I have in older men, which is crazy because I guess at this tail end, they trying to get their last run in or something or whatever. Or in a mission of finding that one, they like, well, let me knock them on down. I don't know. So it's just like, it all depends on where you actually catch that man, which stage in his life you find him in.
100%. I definitely hear you on that. It's intriguing because, and we'll come on to this a bit later on to discuss this, but I remember being at that young teenage years, and you that term about men will only do what you allow them to do is, even as a young boy, was the same thing, because there were certain girls that you knew you try, but well, at least for me, you try that this ain't going nowhere. Like quit it while you're there. You know what I mean? And of course, other guys could do that, but everyone's has a level, right? But I remember there was one guy I remember specifically in my head. I'm thinking about that we used to walk home, and that was all it was about. Just sexual energy. You know what I mean? Just pure sexual energy. There was no real getting to know her or her getting to know me. It was just about young individuals being frolicking around, being young. Yeah, I guess young at heart, but then I guess obviously sex is not young. It's for grown people. But yeah, playing around in that aspect. But then when I do that to say that, to compare that to first ever kind of girlfriend ever, you know, it was I like you. I spend time with you. I talk to you. We spent a lot of time talking, like a lot of time talking before. That was my first ever kiss, first ever, you know, everything. So it's like, but we spent a lot of time doing a lot of just, I would think, adult things that adult people, what would make a good adult relationship, which is spending time talking, getting to know each other. The clear distinction between that and then those other situations, if someone saw me in that light, that is a very shallow person, because all I was thinking about was the body of the person, not necessarily the person themselves. And so it's always intriguing to find why those particular people, you only operate in that space, and you find one person, which is all you need to find, by the way. So, you know, and you just want to, you find that you are willing to explore all the other areas, not just the physicality. You know what I'm saying, Chu, in that space. So yeah, I think that's it's quite intriguing to place it in that particular way, in that space as well.
Yeah, it gets to a point where, you know, the flesh is just not enough, you know. And I think when men mature to manhood, that's where they're at. They realize, you know, like that is the easiest thing to get of a person. But to actually spend that time understanding, learning, loving a person, that's a whole different level of excitement, intimacy. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start, I guess when you do start feeling intimacy as a human being, as an adult, it's a euphoria that does something for you. It's like pheromones, you know, it's just, you want that, you start to crave that, you long that. Sometimes you may even confuse the sex for that. So it can appear like that's all I was here for, is because I know that I was getting the best of you during that moment or whatever, because I'm already inside your head, I'm inside your thoughts or whatever and stuff like that. So I'm getting all of you. So there's a lot more that factors into it. And it's not just all on the man either. It's a lot on the women out here too. It's like, if he can get it from anywhere, what's to stop him? You know, a lot of women don't, I'm not gonna say have morals or anything like that, but they're just as a man, like I wanted to. So, you know, we both out here just hooking up or whatever. So like, I wouldn't just say it's just about men when it comes to this topic either. It's like a lot more women are open about, let's just get this out the way and we could talk about the rest later. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if this gonna work out first before I even try to get to know you or whatnot. So it works in both ways. Who else saying somebody said something to the other effect the other day. Oh, we was watching on Love is Blind where KB just basically told us that it doesn't mean anything to her. So if you have a woman out there that's mine is, and it doesn't mean anything, and you have a man that's on a hunt, we screwed if you if you think sex is not an important topic to some people. You know what I'm saying? But I would never say it's the only topic. Even that man on the hunt gonna come across his match one day. Somebody is going to mentally F him. to where he is like, I can't be without this person. I have to learn more about this person. I need to be around this person, to where the sex don't even matter. Like I said, again, it's an added bonus. But I don't know.
No, definitely. I mean, and yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's interesting because if I think about relationships that I've had, I always say this: the middle relationship was just that felt like that was just solely that was more going back to old school mindset of not thinking of never. It wasn't connection; it was more sexual. Like, do you know what I mean? But I think this is important because I think for us as men, right? I get it. I mean, I get the primal instinct to want to enjoy. I'm not shaming anybody for that. I mean, if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be doing that. But I get the rest of the people then do what they're gonna do. But there is something very powerful about sex within the context of safety and within the context of being genuinely being in love with a person that you're connecting with. And you know, they always make that term, making love, sex, two different things in a sense. But I make that deduction to say, like, there is it's important to be able to wrestle with the idea of intimacy with somebody that you actually genuinely like and with somebody that you're actually connecting with, because then you start to look at the intimacy in a different way. It's not just a tool to get your rocks off. And that's why when you really get a full understanding of what's happening to you, then it can't be just it don't really matter, because it matters to somebody. That's the problem. It matters to somebody, whether it's you or the other person. It matters to somebody because they start giving themselves over. And if it doesn't matter, then we also have to ask the question why it does not matter to you. Like, why does it only relate to pleasure for you? What's going on? You know what I mean? And I think for us as men, when we get to that stage where we recognize that I actually have to ask that serious question, like, bro, like, all right, you're knocking them down, bro, but why is it that none of this why is this not affecting any of you? Like, why is this not speaking to the fact that, bro, you're having a lot of intimacy with a lot of different people, but you're not deep in that you're experiencing a whole side of somebody that should be reserved for, I like to call it a safe confinement of a relationship, at least. You're just experiencing that with many people. I think there's questions that need to be asked about that, in a sense of.
I have a question. You said something like that. In that time when you was in Egypt or whatever, were you feeling like you just had this hunger that you just couldn't satisfy?
Interesting. Yes. I think when I first started in Egypt, it was all about fun, all about ego, and it was all about proving to myself, can we get these ladies to climax? That's all I cared about. It's very much ego driven, right? Then it got to a certain point when you can do that, and you're like, so what am I actually doing? Then I started searching for connection. That's when I started going, okay, there's more to sex than what I'm doing. And I think it's because I had a conversation with one of the ladies, and we had sex, and we sat down, and we're sitting on the bed, and we're both just naked, and we just had a conversation. It was one of the best conversations I've ever had in my entire life. And that's when I recognized, oh my God, this sex thing I'm doing, it's not what I actually really need. I don't need that. I'm looking for something more, and sex can't fill that hole that I'm looking for. Like, when we had that conversation, it was very vulnerable, very real, but very connected. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So yes, it got to a point where I realized that amount of sex doesn't do anything after a while. You're like, it wears off, and you're always trying to find something to plug that hole. Whether it's like, how many women can you sleep with? Okay, if you've done that, then is it a black one? Is that a white one? Is it then you go past that? Then it's like, okay, cool. What is a different continent? Okay, when you go past that, like, you're always looking for that thing, but then it never suffices. You know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully that answers
That answer. So did you ever explore what that hunger was driven by?
Yeah, I think at that point when I recognized it, at that point is when I was coming towards the tail end of Egypt, right? So I recognized it, and then what I started doing was exploring spending time with people. So then then I became a trick. I just started taking people out on dates. So I started mixing the two. This is where it became a bit dangerous. I'm now sleeping with people and taking them out on dates. I want to, because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, something's happening more. I know obviously it sounds mad because obviously I already dated people before this, but obviously clearly something was missing. You know what I mean? I didn't understand something. So now I'm like, okay, shift it. I'm like, okay, wait. Sex and dates. Let's see what happens. And some people I didn't even sleep with. Some people I just went on dates with, and I was just trying to see what was happening to me. You know what I mean? Some people I started recognizing, okay, some people I want to take them to a very nice restaurant. Some people want to go to this kind of restaurant. Why is that? Why am I even reacting that way? That feels even weird. Like, why is that? Why are you moving me that way? Why are you moving me that way? Then I started exploring that. And then I'll tell you what, something happened to me. It was really wild. And this one I realized, yeah, this is dangerous. At one point, I remember I had intimacy with someone, and then literally as I had intimacy, the feeling of saying I love you came up. I did not love them, but it came up. Like it was, and I didn't know where it came from. It just came out of nowhere, and it came up, and I said, whoa, 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 woo, woo, woo. You know, I said, what's going on here? Illegal flag on the play. What's going on here? Yeah. So when I clocked that, I said, whoa, where did that come from? Why? You know what I mean? Like, this is, you're doing a lot of things with different people. So, and you're doing things regularly with people. So why did that moment, that feeling come up? So I had to start really exploring some of these things. And I was recognizing, oh, wow, like you really have been hurt, and you've been hiding behind the flirting, the innuendos, the sex, you've been hiding behind it all. And you're not comfortable being vulnerable like you thought you were. In that space. But yeah, that really threw me off. I discussed it with that girl as well, and I said, I don't know what's going on, why that came up. And then she was like, well, you know, she kind of felt something, but you know, we both just said, listen, we definitely ain't going down that route, so we gotta lock it off. And so we locked it off because nobody wanted that situation going anywhere left. We didn't want that. You know what I mean?
What's crazy too, what I hear is that you were feeding your hunger for love with lust.
Thank God you
And
heard that.
so
That's what I wanted to say, but I couldn't get it out to say. So thank you for clarifying. You're right.
carry on. But yeah. No, but that's why I asked, did you explore what it is? Because a lot of times what we do as humans or whatever, we are on a constant search for love or whatnot, and we'll explore all avenues that we believe we can get it from. And one of the most intense feelings we get is during intercourse of being loved. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're literally entwined with each other, you know, regardless if we love each other or not in this moment, this is what it feels like, you know. And then when you couple that with somebody that I could sit down now and be raw, bare naked with, and have a real conversation with, it's like, oh, now you're feeding into what I've been craving all this time, because what I was thinking I was doing, it was getting it by sleeping with all of these people. But I realized that just wasn't enough either. There's more to it than just the physical, just than the flesh or whatever. There's your mental, your spiritual, your emotional, you know, your intellectual. Is like all of you. And once you start to find people that brings more and more of that to you, you start to long that now instead of just the flesh of it all. So it's like, yeah, like goes back to our thing. It's a matter of where you catch people in that journey of traveling. And some people are just stuck in that flesh stage because they never encountered that person that just kind of like brings out the next level in them. They don't hit that boss fight yet.
And with that also being said, I think this also what you broke it down nicely as well. I think within that, what I was also exploring in Egypt, was what I discovered. Sorry, I should say, is of course I was wounded. I think your past plays a massive role into it, but it was also that through sexual energy, I was finally being seen, quote unquote, to say, right? It's a false thing, but it's like finally being seen. I had a word that would say desire, and something I recognized in some of the interactions, or all the interactions, but I gauged that there were different levels of desire. So this is me being very honest. The best sex was always the one that where the desire was high. The desire, so that person really sees you and they want you, and you see them and you want them. That's when I said, okay, that's when the sex was the best. The energy, the vibe, the emotions, the intensity, all of it was the best. The only trouble with that is that it's tricky, because after a while, then the desire wants to spill over, because then it's like, well, then why are we not going beyond just sex? Why are we not trying to connect and understand each other and go further, maybe into relationship? But yes, desire was a massive thing. So I started recognizing, oh, I respond to desire. And I had to ask myself, what am I responding to? Oh, I like to, the desire makes me feel seen. It's like, you want me. This is something that I did not have as a youngster. The feeling of being needed or being wanted, you know? So if you, like, if you grew up in a house where you're like, you can talk, but you know, really and truly, you know, you're meant to be seen or not heard. Let's be honest, you know, the way you're almost treated. So like that then transfers itself into a place where it's like, okay, I'm now out here where people can actually see me. You know what I mean? Now, of course, they're seeing me through sexual energy. That's not the greatest, but I'll take it. You know, because again, like you said, the euphoric feeling that you reach, it cons you into thinking that this is where you need to be. When in
Because in that
reality,
moment, it feels desirable. Like you feel desirable in that moment, especially when you know what you're doing. You know,
you know,
if you know, you know. No,
if
but
you
go
know, you
ahead.
know, you know, if you know, you know. So yeah, that was a massive aspect of that understanding, you know, that, okay, that's what I'm also on a search for. I'm on a search for someone to see me. And I was also recognized, because I was having conversations with people that I was having intimacy with in Egypt, I recognize that this is also what they're searching for. So if I desire you in that way, you also feel seen. You also feel like raw, like someone just want, like, if it's all encompassing, because it's a trick, but not a trick. It's like there's an aspect of truthfulness, which is that when that person desires you like that, they are wanting you. They do. They really want you. But what you really want, though, is the person to see you in totality. But because the feeling is so euphoric, as we've said, because it's so strong, because the feeling is so overpowering at times as well, it can almost trick you into thinking that that is essentially what desiring is in its totality. When in reality, someone should desire you not just because of your body, they should desire you because of your mind, they should desire you because of your values, your likes, or your hobbies, or whatever. They should like you as a total person. But sex kind of confuses that line a little bit. It's like you because actually people do start to like you and you start to like them. And oftentimes it's the gloss of sex that is confusing that, because you might
Yeah.
not, after that goes, you don't really like them. Not like that anyway.
But that post nut clarity, it's real. It's
Come out the
real.
yard.
It's real, real. Like, all right, I got what I wanted and I'm out. And that's where we back at that thing. Like, that's all they want, because you just reached a man that just realized you were just not what he wanted once he was done or whatever and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that was all he wanted. He may actually be searching on for something real or whatever, but you might have just gave it up to him so early that it's like, okay, I found out that you gave it up. And on top of it, that I am on live, so y'all giving out phone numbers right now. I'm on live. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, you might find a man that is on his hunt for something serious or whatnot, but you might have gave it up too early, and before he found out that you're not his person. And then it's like when he does his more due diligent research on you, he's just like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. And I mean, you might be able to say this is bad part on the man too, or whatever. But like women, you do have the power to say no, like a lot of times, and just you find out for yourself if this is your person. Because sometimes, if you want to really know if a man just wants that, then just hold out a little bit. He'll eventually move around. But you got to be careful though, because some people will do all of that work. They'll get it to know you. They'll spend time with you. They'll take you out on dates or whatever and stuff. And at the end of the day, it'll feel like they wasted their time with you because they just like, well, I got what I wanted at the end, and really, I just wanted the sex. She had nothing else to offer me, even though I spent all this time with her. So you just got to be careful out here. I don't know how to tell y'all to navigate around that one, but
Yeah, no, yeah. I think obviously for any man or any woman out there, I think what I also grasp is, like I said, when you like someone, you want to talk to them, and so, and that can also be a little bit confusing because sometimes you can have, and this is also a bigger issue as well. When the sex precedes the talking, it causes long-term confusion. And I say that because sometimes the sex is what's allowing the conversation to happen. You don't actually like talking to them. Sex is just removing the guard that you feel that's up, and you start talking to them. But once that sex is removed, the conversation doesn't want to go there either. So really and truly, I always feel like, the conversation should be preceding the sex aspect. So you can really know if you actually like talking to this person. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're lonely. That's the honest truth. You're having sex and you're lonely. And that's why you're talking to that person. You like them because they are available, not because that person's actually the person you want. And I started clocking it because I know that for me personally also, I don't like people in my space on a natural level. So it's hard for me anyway. But when people come to stay with me, you got like a day, 2 max before I start getting itchy. I don't care how much sex we're having. I'm starting to get itchy and I want you out. my attachment's playing out and I need you out the house. You're in my space. So then I start recognizing, okay, wait, oi. I start recognizing, oi. Oi. Time that to remove that. But yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no. But no, all just aside, like there's parts of that where I start recognizing I don't even want people in my space anymore. It's like, yeah, you've overstayed your welcome. Come on, get it moving. And that's when you start realizing you don't actually like that person like that. This is about the interaction. It's about the sex you guys are having. It's not about them that you actually like to spend time with in that space. What are you saying?
So I don't want to necessarily speak for a male perspective. So this is like coming from what I get from my cousin and stuff like that when we have our sit and talk down and stuff. And it's something similar to what you're saying or whatnot. Just taken away from just conversation. But he'll always be like, if it's costing me my peace, you know what I'm saying, it's not worth it. And not saying that he might not be a male gigolo out here in these streets. However, he's like, if it's going to cause me all this stress behind it or whatever, or these conversations are not worth it or whatever, then what are we talking for? So it's just, let's come here and do what we going to do. And then I'm going to move on because you're not really providing me anything else of substance. And not saying that girl is not valuable or anything else to somebody, but just not to him because he's looking for a particular thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that conversation sometimes do change the dynamics of everything. Like for me, especially being a sapiosexual, like you have to talk here. You got to get me here first before I'm really like wanting to do it. I can do it to you without that, but will it be as good? No, it would not be as great as it would be if we not on a deeper level of understanding with one another. Because I like the more, like you said earlier, it's like the more I'm into you, the greater the sex is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I say it earlier, when I'm like people are shortchanging themselves if they came to me for that's all only reason where you're shortchanging me yourself because you're not even getting the best of me. You know what I'm saying? Like if you spent a little bit more time with me, you might get the best of me depending on how good your mouse game is. You know what I'm saying? It takes you to be able to communicate back with me in a particular way too to get me going and all this stuff like that, you know. But we can be both here just for the physical of it all, and I can walk away from this situation partially satisfied to unsatisfied. It is what it is. I'm gonna make sure that you good. But guess what? You could have had a way greater time had you spent more time with me, getting to know me, opening me up from the inside out first, or whatever and stuff like that. Didn't worry about what's going on the outside. Or how can you approach all of that or whatever and just have access to it? So it's just like, I don't know. I don't feel like men are just only on that when they're in a mind state of consciousness of self-growth and development, you know, because all of just the sex alone is just something that's hindering their own progression or whatever. They a lot of times I'll run into men that's not even what time they on. They're not even worried about that or whatever and stuff like that, because their mind is so much focused on how do they get ahead in life that they know that access to women's body will be there at some point. And they're actually looking for a woman who has that good access as well as something else to offer, that as well as they going on their journey. They're looking for an investment, not a liability. So I'll just say to women, when I speak to y'all, try working on making yourself more of an asset to a man instead of a liability sitting on some good pee, you know. And if you're sitting on some good pee, you better figure out how to make that an asset to yourself, girl. No, I shouldn't be telling Christians that. Sorry. Okay.
No, it's no, you know what is funny as well, because as I was talking, my brain was just thinking about some of those things that happened in the past. And I remember on my way through Egypt, right, you meet certain people that you actually can connect with. I remember there was one particular girl that we had some conversations that were just great conversations, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to run through, but the conversations were amazing. I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to run through. And she was like, I'm not on that. Because I'm serious about my business. I don't want to be on that. I like you, but it's not like that. I don't want to be doing them things. You know what I mean? And I had to respect it. You know what I'm saying? I had to respect it. But guess what? That still wasn't going to be my goal. So like for anybody doing this with boundaries, you're not doing boundaries so that man will like you, though. You're doing boundaries for you because because some of us are hunting, you know what I mean? Like, if you let me, I'm gonna run through. You know what I'm saying? Not now. But if you let me, I will run through. So, and I can respect you. It's not that I don't respect you. I respect you. I just don't see you as my person. And so this is why actually it is important for you to kind of have the boundaries, because what that means is you don't get to have interactions with people on a particular level that don't assign what you're trying to go into. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because the girl was beautiful, attractive. I found her amazingly attractive. And I love the fact she had boundaries. But I just knew in my back of my mind, this isn't my person. I know you're not. You know what I'm saying to you? So again, this is also important as well, that people are protecting themselves as well, because you allow yourself to mess around. You may thinking that you get a zoom, but really and truly, that man is just trying to run through. Now I get it. Also, some of you are going to be having fun, and you want to have fun. It's mutual fun. Hey, listen, again, not from a Christian perspective, but I get it. If you're going to be doing that, do you know what I'm saying? At least you know what you're walking into, and you're ahead of it. You're involved in it.
Have you ever had such good conversation that you was like, man, I cannot F this person?
Yeah. Like, you can connect to them in such a way you're like, I don't even want to mess you up.
Yeah, it's like, I know you would never be my person. I know you would never be my person, but damn it. Like, damn it. If only I could, I would. I swear to God, I would. I'm trying to tell you, but
can't do it. I shouldn't do it, but I won't do it.
I won't do it, but I want to do it. Shit.
Yeah. You do, and that's the thing. Like I said, you meet so many different energies out there. If you're again doing some stuff, but you meet so many energies. You're right. Yes, you meet people that you like. You meet someone, you be like, you know what, you're too innocent. I can't even. I don't want to rob you of your innocence. You not even enter that game. Let me leave you where you are. I don't want to be responsible for what you're about to see. So I'm gonna leave you alone. Then you meet some other people that are just like, they're so cool, but you're like, in the back of my mind, I remember in the back of my mind, I'm like, if we do anything, I can never talk to you again. You can't. Then I'm gonna be
without it.
You know what I mean? I want to, but I can't, because if you do, that friendship's ruined, and I know that I may need you in the future, or you may need me in the future, and this could be actually a good friendship. And there are other people where you're like, you know what? Again, there's other people where it's like, oh, like, okay, you're interesting. I'm trying to get to know you a bit more. I want to understand you a bit more, and then it falls flat. You're like, oh no, no. I don't know what I was seeing.
Thank God I didn't.
Thank God, we did something, and you just decided, because like, so again, this is why again, for those who are out here in the streets, you don't want to be in the streets because you can meet so many different people, and meeting all the different people and interacting with them on that sexual plane, you most times you're going to want to have sex with people, and it's not conducive for the long-term objective if you're trying to be in that space of quote unquote trying to get into a relationship. If you just want to mess around, hey, that's what you're going to do. But if you want to be serious about your life, this is going to cause you more mayhem, because you have to it takes you the disappointment of it's not like it's a crazy disappointment bad way, but it's more like there are people that you're going to be like, oh, I'm not sure, let me figure you out. And then you end up sexing them and you're figuring it out as you go, and then you realize this ain't it. But now there's no walking back. There's no like, oh, let's be cool, because actually I've realized you're actually kind of a cool person. There's none of that. You can't walk back and be cool, because now this person might have caught feelings. It might feel you in a different way. Like, because again, there's sometimes where you enter certain situations where you have an intimacy and it's like people are not sure. So sometimes you're like, I know what I'm on, you know what you're on, but then we start talking like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I see you in a different way and I'm not sure. Now you've done the sex thing. There is no walking back. And this is the problem with a lot of these interactions that end up happening in that space.
Now, as I say this, I'm not trying to give anybody an excuse or an out. Okay, this is something that when I say it, you're going to have to work on, okay, as an individual. However, with that said, being that we had kind of said that intimacy, because the intimacy came in two forms now. It came in the physical and it came in intellectual and stuff like that. Now, being with the intellectual, it actually, for me, it actually weighs more than the physical. Other people might see it differently, but for me, it weighs more than the physical. So for me, when the intellectual is there, the physical is almost guaranteed. Do you think that some men out here are looking for the intimacy of it all, but using sex because they don't have either emotional intelligence or just an intellectual smarts about them to even hold a conversation with somebody?
Absolutely. I think there are men out here bamboozling people. They're just like, you know what? I got a trick, and that's the only trick I got, and this is what I'm about to give you. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of men who do use sex as their language to speak. Like, they find it easier to communicate on that level, on that plane, and they gain all their validation and give all their validation through that. So, like, especially if they're actually decent at the job, it's like, well, she's happy, she's good, she spends time with me after that. It's all right. It's all good. You know what I mean? I've got mine. I'm feeling good. I've got what I needed from the situation. So I think there's a lot of men who have discovered a key. I want to put a positive frame on it now. Have discovered a key that is good in some aspect in terms of unlocking another form of communication. So yes, I think there's a lot of men who do that. And oftentimes it is because of the fear of vulnerability and the lack of the emotional language to be able to have conversations with people on a level that breaches the depth of what sex can do, So I definitely agree that it's a good perspective. Yeah.
Oh, I want to say this. Because you do see people that try to just like get out of conversations by sex or whatever and stuff like that. Like men and women both, they try to get out the conversations just through sex or whatnot. Because I mean, if that's what they want, I can't wish things good for them or whatever and stuff like that. Because some people they do believe the physical is a little bit more. So I'm just really trying to figure out how to word this in the way that I want to make it across. Let me see. Let me think. Just let me think on a second for a second though. But I don't know. I feel like when a man wants more of you, he's going to put the intentions in behind it to like actually get to know you past the physical. He might himself might even hold out a bit to the point you can be like, I've heard women say, I think he gay or whatever and stuff like that, just because he don't want to put out like that easy or whatever. He respect himself. He got some, pride about himself or whatnot. But in my experience, I have found that when men really want to know, they really start asking questions. They start investigating about you. They start call checking or whatever, just to see if you in proximity of other people. They call at random hours or send texts at random hours. They'll start clocking a lot of things that you do. They actually be attentive to the things you say. They'll remember things that you say that you don't even or whatnot. When they really fancy you, when they're really into you, that doesn't guarantee that that's your person or anything, but it does mean that they do like you past the sex. They may or may not have emotional maturity about it to even have that conversation or understanding to, talk to you about it or get to that point with you. But it's gonna still sound crazy, because even when you said that moment where it's like you and that lady had that conversation or whatever in that intimate space, I feel like it's just like a lot of times it's a lot easier, and this could be a mannish way about me, because I had tendencies in the past to just like want to get the sex out the way and then be like, okay, let's see what's real. Now that we got that lust out of there, because a lot of times I feel like some people are lusting for so long that they will kind of do whatever you want them to do just so they can get it. And then once that lust is gone, they don't have that high anymore. They don't have that euphoria feeling of it anymore. It's not that the sex is bad or anything, or you're bad or anything like that. It's just they were chasing that for so long that became more important to them than actually getting to know you. And I have better relationships. And I'm not saying this goes for anybody. You do not have to try this, do not. But when we can actually be in that space to where we are just sitting there bare naked after and have deep conversations. I don't know. It's a crazy feeling. I don't know if other people have done it outside of their marriages, because I'm sure some people in their marriages have done it. But like for us that have not been married and done it outside their marriage, that is a wild, crazy experience or whatnot. Just to be able to sit there with somebody, it do put you in a place where you do kind of feel like you know what I'm saying? You feel like you want to say that to that person, but it's like, yeah, I don't really know you, but this moment is real. It's real special to me. I'll say that much. I'm gonna lock that one away. You're gonna stay dear in my heart with that. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to word that other question, so just work with me right now. Sorry.
No, but it's yeah. I mean, listen, this is so crazy, because going back to what you said, right? The finding out, I found out that there is more intimacy that can be unearthed when I had sex first. So again, that goes back to that what you said in the original statement, that yes, I think a lot of us men are exploring lust. And it's almost like when I think about I think about what I was just talking, I was thinking about then and now, where I am now. Now I have a list of things I have like on my notes of things that I want to do with somebody when I want to create more intimacy before I think about the sex part. Of course, when I have a sex in marriage, guys. Okay. But there's things there's things I want to do. There's things I want to do to create more intimacy with that person and myself, right? And I think I also took a leaf out of that book. That's why I said that anything I did in Egypt, I wanted to take something from it and learn. What I learned about being naked and the lights off was that it's easier to have a conversation with the lights off first and foremost. With the lights off, you don't have to focus too much on the expressions, on what people are actually focus on what people are doing, in a sense, right? You can just kind of focus. That's why Love is Blind kind of works at the beginning, because Love is Blind is the lights off. It removes some of the fear of the intimacy that you may have. But I also recognize that with the lights off, there was a much more focus on the listening and the talking. So I was hearing a lot more. So when I'm hearing words, I'm also hearing the breathing. I'm also hearing the intonation. I'm also hearing the inflection in what you're saying. I'm paying more attention to what's coming out of your mouth. I can't see it, but I certainly have to pay attention to what I'm hearing. So I recognize that was a really powerful moment, because now the focus isn't how buff you are. The focus isn't how sexy you are. The focus isn't, how I love your body. No, the focus was like, okay, I need to hear what you're really telling me right now. And again, that was one of the deepest conversations I had. I started recognizing that, and again, you start playing with things when you start being more intimate with people. You start playing with things. I played with color of lights. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, what does that do to you? It changes your mood, you know? So at one point I had red lights. You know, I had to try some stuff. But, you know, I had red lights, and that would change certain things. I was like, okay, my responses are different, you know, than having normal lights per se. So I started recognizing that there is more to intimacy that I'm missing, that I have not been able to explore, because I thought I was, you know, you don't even realize it's there, or you think that's too corny or whatever to do those kind of things. I remember had a I was like, okay, so I remember I had a moment where I was with one girl, and literally it was a Kama Sutra position. I'm just saying. But what was powerful about it was there wasn't much movement. Bro, I remember what happened. This girl started crying. Because what happened was, like, I don't know how we got here. It wasn't about the sex per se. She just sat on me, but I just held her like this. And we was there for like maybe 20, 30 minutes just in that position, right? Because all you're doing, you're not moving. And then probably like maybe the last 10 minutes, we started talking, just having conversation. I cannot remember what I said. I said something like, I don't know, it was probably something uplifting. And the girl just broke. So when I started, I was like, wait, hold on a minute now. Okay, if we would take sex out of this situation, let's take sex out of this scenario. How could I replicate this to be a more intimate moment? Let's say the sex wasn't on the table. What about if maybe we were sitting down, but we were face to face? Maybe I was holding your hands and then having a conversation with you, really focused and engaging on the eye contact. What if we were to sit back to back and then have a conversation and just feel each other's rising and falling? Now, it sounds nuts, but when I realized that's what happened in sex, that's actually what's creating real intimacy with somebody, where no one else should have you in that space. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Like, no one should be having you back to back in a room and having deep conversations. Okay. All right. All right. So no one should be having any kind of back to backs. Okay. So again, all of this is like just deepening your connection with that person. And I started recognizing, I remember, and then I tried it out, like non-sexual, just real thing. I remember myself and one girl were laying down, and we're like our heads were here, but like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So our heads are facing each other, and I just said, oh, look, let's just imagine, like, tell a story, and I'll finish off the story, and then we'll go back to back and see what happens. Bro, it was like, we did it for like 15 minutes, whatever. But again, it was just another exploration. I was like, wow, your mind works like interesting. I love the way your mind works, and da 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 da. And so again, I found myself just, wow, like, I'm drawn to you in a way that's not sexual. So you mean you can get drawn to me with it? Then you start realizing there's so much more to intimacy than just the sex part. Like, if you're creative with it as well in that space. Yeah. Dave, you want to jump in there?
Oh no, I didn't even mean to put my mic back on, but yeah. No, I'm feeling with what you're saying, because there's like different spaces that you can fall in with a person intimately. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we just named a few. It was just like emotionally, spiritually. Some people even financially. Like it's out there, but there's way more ways. And I think that men don't I wouldn't limit men, and so I don't think they limit themselves. It's just that while they're on the hunt, you might not fill those other voids for them. So they just continue to move on as they're like trying to find it, you know. It's just the difference is that a lot of times they don't express it all. We don't have those conversations about it, you know. As talking to like a homegirl to your homeboy, you might have that conversation. You might hear that male perspective. I hear it from time to time, a lot of times, because I do know that a lot of men, like, I'll go back to one, and he's like, yeah, I can have like all these baddies and whatever, but they're not treating me like this particular person over here that is just like an average person. And I can go over there and I can just lay up, and I don't have to worry about much. She's going to do this, that, and third for me, while I got to worry about this one, talking about her hair, this, that, the third. Is like, again, back to my peace. So, you know, I would never limit it to say that that's the only thing that they look for. But a lot of us, we're not having these conversations anymore to ask, what are you looking for? What are your intentions in life? What are your goals in life? Who do you know, do you have any desire to be in a monogamous relationship or a relationship period, or what type of relationship that you want to really be in? Or when I, so when we're not having these conversations, yes, anything can appear like this is all that the man wants. You know, and we can't always just leave it up to a man just to have those conversations. If you find interest in a man, you can have to start those conversations too. You might find out that it's not one that you need to be dealing with. You know, it's not a problem. I just feel like you can't be scared in that department. You don't have to worry about letting a man lead in that department, because some men just don't know how to start that conversation because they don't want to be judged in that way of, well, oh, well, I'm just that shallow that all I think is the physical. It's like, no, I really think more than that. You know, and we have to stop thinking less of men in that regards. You know, we do see that, you know, they put a lot of music videos and TV screens where they objectify the woman and all that stuff, but real men don't do that on a daily. Real men are not walking around being rude and objectifying women like that. So they do want conversations. They do want safe spaces. That's another thing. A lot of times women are not safe spaces, so they don't even bother. They'll just like, let me knock you down real quick and move on or whatever. But men are looking for safe spaces. They'll result in sex because that's like, oh, I'm leaving here with something. But they really want a safe space. So if you can create yourself as a safe space, you'll find out he may stick around longer. I'm not saying that's your person, but he may stick around longer enough to open up to you to talk about what it is he is looking for, you know. But
Yeah, no, and I think a key thing here is also like for anybody, both men and women, but I speak for the men, and something I'm learning more now is bringing people into your world, man. You know, no matter how small it is, bring them into your world. I think for any lady out there, bring a man into your world. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm not saying take him to every salon, but what I'm saying to you is what interests you. Bring me into your world. This is what's going to intrigue me as well. Now, if that man ain't interested in your world, that man ain't interested in you. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Right. So, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know who I was talking to. I can't remember who I was talking to about this. And I was like, I had written down a couple of things. I realized that the last year or two, I love a walk. You know what I mean? I've explored some area. Wherever I go to, I walk. You know what I mean? If it's safe enough to walk, I will walk there. Do you know what I mean? If I'm in the country or out of the country, wherever. And even in my area here, I walk a lot to different places. And I was like, I was going on these prayer walks, and I was like, yo, I discovered like, wow, it's mad. Like this pathway that I found, for some reason, the way that it's situated, the sun rises at a particular time, you see the sunrise. And when it sets, you see the sunset, right? And there's an archway, so it just looks so beautiful. And I was like, and this is where I started realizing the tension for I think a lot of us men in it, yeah, is that as soon as I was like, wow, it'd be nice you get a girl to be able to bring her along and show her this is what you see every morning when you come on your prayer walk. And I said, you better get your bitch ass up. You better, yeah, that's what I heard in my head, in the back of my head. All I heard was, boo, you better get your girl. You know what I mean? So immediately, as I had that idea, it was like, that's a soft idea. Do you know what I mean? Screw about my language, guys. That's a soft idea you got going on, bro. Why would you want to show her that, bro? You know, how cool is that? And I had to really check myself, like, that's your world, though. You walk that path every day and you find beauty in it. And, it's very much like we saw on Love is Blind with Anton and Ali. As soon as he mentioned about having matching jumpers, you know what she did? That's a little bit corny. Yeah, when they start saying that ish, they don't like you. That's what I'm trying to say. Bring them into your world, because if I like you, I'm interested in things that you're interested in. I'm interested in I'm interested in you being interested in what you're interested in. I'm excited about you because you're excited about that thing. I may not be excited about that thing. You know what I'm saying to you? And vice versa for the ladies too. Listen, sometimes as men, like we watch our sports, it is so nice to have your girl just come and sit next to you, even if she has no clue what's going on. Just the fact that she wants to sit next to you and be in your presence, it does something to you, bro. It shifts something for us as men. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So you don't have to like the sport. You don't even have to even like the thing that's going on, but it's the fact that you're willing to. And I think for us as men, I think for a lot of us, we don't believe that we're actually liked. A lot of us. So something like a girl coming to sit down and watch football with you, you wouldn't even. You know what? You don't even bother even asking her to come and do it because you don't believe that you just. It's almost like you don't believe that a woman would want to even spend that time doing something that you would like per se. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Like your almost instincts are always to do something that she would like, and then you can get the validation. When actually, really, you should be thinking about this is your world. You love sports. You like her. You like her time. You being able to ask and be vulnerable enough to say, hey, babe, you know what? Even if you don't do anything, even if you're on your laptop, even if you're on your phone, the fact that you're just sitting here and I'm watching a game, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? Like you're in my presence, or at least I can feel your presence next to me. I ain't got to do nothing crazy. I'm going to watch the game, but I'm going to focus on the game. But I just love the fact that you're next to me or you're in the same room as me. You know what I mean? Now that might be a bit of a love language because that's quality time and stuff like that. So not everybody necessarily works with that. Do you know what I mean? But I think for a lot of avoidance, that is one of their love languages because again, for us, the way we grew up, spending time with people wasn't the thing. It was like, figure it out. You got to do it on your own. So yeah, I think that is something as well. Bring people into your world. If you love galleries, bring me into that world. I'm going to love it. I'm going to love you loving it because you're so passionate about it. I know that's something that you love. I'm gonna be interested. I may not learn all the terminology, cause shoot, I ain't in my world. But I love the fact that you love it, and I'm gonna spend time doing it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe my brain can think about some other galleries you want to go to, or you love whatever this thing. That's why men end up watching TV shows. You know what I mean? That's why we end up watching TV shows. Hey, what are you doing there?
Sorry, she can't even hear you.
Hi.
Hey, Tash, how you doing?
What's up?
What's up?
I'm so happy to see you. It's a great to see you. What we talking about today? Because I got the juicy talk.
What?
I got juicy talk. What we talking about?
Oh, we're talking about men and are they shallow and only want sex from women, and we're just talking about.
Oh, you don't want to get me started on men these days. Okay.
She have a better clue than I do. Well, look, she'll have a better clue than I do.
Well, don't go anywhere. Give us 7 minutes. We're gonna finish and wrap this up. You're gonna be around. We can have a talk offline.
I won't be around, but see you in 7. Bye. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So yeah, I think bring people into your world. Let them see your world and let them also marvel at the fact that these are the things that you love and you care about and you enjoy, as well. Because I think people are interested in finding out what makes you when they like you. So that's a massive thing. I think for people who generally don't, especially for the ladies who don't want a man just to use them for sex, if you start introducing that man to your world, you're gonna quickly find out because he's gonna get irritated real quick. Because he's not here to learn about all those things. He's here to smash and knock him down. You know what I mean? Now, of course, there are some men who are willing to be very patient. You might need a bit more fire to bring those people out of the hole, in a sense. But most people you can easily catch them out by just saying, "This is what I love. This is what I love doing. I want to spend time." As soon as you start spending too much time, that man goes, "You're on my neck. Too much time." Yeah, he don't like you.
He don't. I don't know. But he might like some of you. And he'll take some of you if you let him have it.
He likes a part of you.
He likes some part of you. That part of you is the easy access part that he can get to. You know what I'm saying? He don't have to understand that too much.
For real.
Yeah, I don't have to understand that too much. I don't have to do too much. And if he got that pipe, he like, you got to be careful of him. He's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Don't let him have a little conversation about him either. Ooh, scary. He got a girlfriend. I'm hiding a wife somewhere. Trust me. No.
That's a shocker doc. Jay, shocker doc. Well, listen, we're going to bring it to a close. Final thoughts.
Okay. No, I don't really have final thoughts because it's getting louder up in here. Sorry.
I'll final thoughts it away. Well, listen, look, my final thoughts are to this, guys, is listen, sex is a very powerful thing. Please do it in the confinements of the marriage, okay? Because the marriage bed is undefiled, okay? All right? For the rest of y'all vagabonds, be safe. Okay. But remember, creating emotional intimacy is much more profound, much more deeper, and actually creates longer lasting relationships. Just like this sounds like an advert, it does when I say that, but it does create longer lasting relationships when you are bonding on emotional things. And some of you need to get raw and vulnerable, and start really trying to understand the person you're actually with, and not just understanding their body. Since you've clocked that already, you understood it already, fantastic. Let's move to another organ, the mind. And let's start really figuring out who this person is that we're interacting with, and see if we actually like them for them, or whether we like the fact that they're the outer shell, the body is what we're attracted to. But our time is up. So folks, we got to go. All right. Before some craziness happens, I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very soon. And ta-ra.
Little black, you know what time it is.